Festive tidings, friends and lovers. Howdy, howdy, ho. It's a merry reference Christmas, friends and lovers. Welcome one, welcome all. If you have perused the For Your Reference podcast, you may have already heard our first Christmas special in 2019, and that was a whopper.
A whopper indeed.
The podcast episode got broken up into two 1 hour episodes. Shout out to certain levels of our Patreon that can see the video version of our Merry Christmas special this year. But essentially, strap in, strap on of the festive kind, because we are going to get into a very fun and tantalizing time OT. All of our episodes are reviews of TV shows and also movies, but we don't like to give our rating out of 10, mostly because as soon as you say the number, there's nothing really else to say. Right. And we really like to get in and discuss stuff. And even if things aren't particularly perfect, we still find a lot of fun discussing it. And sometimes things are perfect, but they still don't have that much to say. So again, get yourself a beverage, get yourself a snack. OT is mine. He is reserved forever. But it's going to be a good time. It has been a long year, and especially if for whatever reason, pandemic or otherwise, you were spending it alone, let us be your For Your Reference family. We're going to get into some good time. I don't think we're going to spoil anything, are we?
No spoilers.
Okay, so it's fun for all the family of appropriate ages. Theo is here, but he's not very useful, but he is getting in on the festive cheer as well. Something very interesting before we dive in, OT. Last year was our first year of podcasting, and we did about 41 review episodes.
Wow.
This year, the year of all of the years, we've done 50 review episodes. And the way we've done this spreadsheet is if we've covered franchises, like in the first year we did John Wick, for example, we split it into the individual movies so we can rate them appropriately. So with this spreadsheet of 50 episodes, we have almost 70 rows on this spreadsheet. So I think this was our year of trilogies and franchises, Rush Hour particularly being a highlight of that. All right. So let's get into it, OT. Let's get into it. Also, again, we fucking love our beloved friends and lovers, our patrons. As a Patreon benefit, they have the opportunity to submit their ratings on episodes that we've covered throughout the year. We've also had a couple of guests this year, so they've chimed in as well on their corresponding episodes.
Brilliant.
So with our patrons and with our guests, there's about 13 out of 50 episodes that they've provided our ratings. And also our Splooshies Awards is coming up. And we have the Sploosh Mountain, which is the most coveted award in the Splooshies Awards. And that will be awarded to the highest rating movie or TV show that we've covered. So patrons definitely have the power.
Very nice.
But unfortunately, we didn't cover Power, even though Power Book 2 is getting into a good time. Mary J. Blige and Tariq is a fun old time. But OT, first episode in January, which feels like a very long time ago, we covered Succession.
Woo.
Succession became a fan fave in our household. We had a list of TV shows to watch and we ignored all of them and just decided to watch Succession.
Yep.
And we were absolutely blown away by it. It does sound like they're going to start production of season 3 of Succession. So whenever it's going to come out, done doodly hardest, we will be covering it on the For Your Reference podcast. So let's do this. First rating for 2020, the Merry Reference Christmas special. No pressure, OT. Take it away.
So Succession, I felt all the other shows we covered last year were very lucky during the Splooshies.
Because we knew. Yes.
But the mere fact we didn't cover Succession in time of the Splooshies just tells you everything, because it's a 10 over 10 over 10 show.
Oh, if this is any indication, high five, my love. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. You kind of stole my thunder, but I like it that way. You're like Jerry and I'm like Rome from Succession.
Mm.
I also give it a 10, by the way,
Oh,
just to make that very clear. I don't know how, I don't know why, but the next episode that we did for 2020 was you with your Gossip Girl.
yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
And OT,
Yeah,
we have our first patron rating.
we do.
Yeah, I don't know why they wasted it on you. It is Brandy from the Book of Lies podcast. Shout out. Also, shout out to Sunny. We love you too. So, do you want to hear the rating first or do you want to hear the reasoning?
I want to hear the reasoning, and I think I can get her rating based off that.
As far as stalker/murderers go, Joe Goldberg is one of the most endearing. I only wish he would stop picking these broken girls that need to be fixed and pick me. Hard eyes emoji.
You go, Brandy. I think she gave it a 9.
She absolutely gave it an Brandy and Sunny also came onto our podcast in our first year to cover The Big Short. So how the quality wavers, I don't know. But we love you. Thank you. I do not agree, but thank you so much. My rating, 7 out of 10.
Wow.
I think that's quite high.
If you listen to Epi, Katie is really just a hater because that's nothing short of an 8 show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. And Joe just ticked all the boxes.
So that's an 8 average.
Mm.
Okay, by the power of you and Brandy, I suppose. All right, let's get into one of the first franchises that we've done on the podcast, definitely for 2020. We did Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys
Tres.
for too long, apparently. All right, so let's do it. You want to just go what you rated 1, 2, and 3, or you want to alternate?
1, 2, and 3. I gave Bad Boys 8.5.
Nice.
Bad Boys 2 a 7.5.
Nice.
And Bad Boys for Life a 7.5.
Oh, okay. I was edging and I almost met to completion. Unfortunately not. So I gave Bad Boys an 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Boys 2 a 7.5.
Okay.
I gave Bad Boys for Life 5.
Oh! Mike Lowry.
No, the sodium got to Mike Lowry as well.
I think the nostalgia played a big part in my rating. It's been years since we saw that, and growing up watching Bad Boys, and it was just one of those things that seeing them now, despite its obvious flaws, I just couldn't give it any lower rating than that.
Like, I get the nostalgia, but it didn't need to be made. But I will maintain all of the Bad Boys had one of the best soundtracks on anything that we've covered this year. Even with the most recent one with will.i.am. Because you're going to spend your dinero.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to party to the extremo.
You keep on looking at me as if you're waiting for me to finish that line. I ain't got it.
Hey, we're La Casa de Spanish, are we not?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's continue on. We have another patron rating, OT, and this is for our loose episode. I think you
Let
can
me guess who rated this. Colby. No one other than Colby.
Yo. Colby, absolutely. Because I think you remember our Twitter threads with Colby. So let's see what Colby had to say. This is not your average teen drama. It's something more. Something spectacularly special, unafraid to speak on the uncomfortable conversations buried within political correctness and sensitivity that roam our school halls or our homes. Every compositional element at work in this film is simply perfect to me. Perfect direction, script, cast, performances all culminate to deliver something wildly different and my number one movie of the year.
Yep. I knew it.
Oh, okay, so what do you think you rated it?
10.
Yeah. If he could rate it more than 10, he probably would have. So I'm a bit scared to give mine, so you go first.
I'll give it an 8 because I know that in as much as I had complex qualms with it, it still was an entertaining movie. It was a good movie and I enjoyed it.
It was entertaining. It was good. I agree. I know you yourself and Colby will probably have qualms with myself. I gave it a 6.5.
Jesus. Really?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
I'm the fucking Grinch. What do you want from me?
Wow. What movies do you want to rate higher?
Well, we'll get to it. So, even before March hit, we had a lot going on with our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, we started this podcast in February of 2019, which meant February 2020 of this year marked our first year of podcasting. And we celebrated with a month-long celebration of Miyazaki masterpieces, otherwise known as our reference degustation.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that celebration, we had our first annual Splooshies Awards, OT.
Mm-hmm.
That was all this year.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Isn't that wild? We went for like a week holiday, and I'm glad we did that because, well, we all know how the story goes. There's no spoiler alert there. So let's get into our month long of Miyazaki masterpieces. The first one we had was Spirited Away.
10.
10. I like where this is going. This is a tantalizing degustation, OT. Porco Rosso, or what OT likes to call me, Scarlet Pig.
10.
10. All right. Princess Mononoke, otherwise known as Mononoke Hime.
10.
10. And then we have Naushka, Valley of the Wind.
9. Just wasn't there, man. Like it, I really, really tried to love it as much as the others. I just couldn't get there at the end. And for that, it just failed a point shot.
But given that it was early in Miyazaki's filmography, it really did become the foundation of, a lot of the themes that he is known to this day.
Oh, a stepping stone indeed into what is now known. And we could see it so clearly. Having watched the other, The Spirited Away, Porco Rosso, his later works, how much Naushka was really the foundational sort of piece that just launched everything.
Naushka upskirted so Mononoke could steal Ashitaka. But with the themes of environmentalism, it was very heavy-handed in Naushka, but it definitely set the tone throughout Miyazaki's filmography, and it was very pointed and very deliberate in Mononoke. So definitely it was a good pairing to have that particular week. I rated it, after all that, I just wanted to justify myself. I gave it an 8.
Oh.
I know.
All right. That's fair enough.
Don't kick me out of the fan club, weebs. All right. And then we have the last dessert course of the reference degustation. Howl's Moving Castle.
10.
10. Nice. That is a very expensive and very quality degustation, and hopefully at a time that is appropriate and we can enjoy it again. I would love for us to go to those wankery cloth napkin degustations again, OT.
For sure.
For sure, indeed. Okay, so March kicked off our second year of podcasting, and it was just as fun as the theme song, Living Single.
'Cause you're living single.
Yes, we're living the single life.
Yeah, that was a really, really good throwback for us. And I would be remiss if I didn't give it anything other than a 10.
Oh, okay.
A 10, bruv.
All right. Okay.
Cole Barker 10.
Oh, Carl Barker. I gave it less of a rating because of Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. Or the OG Molly, if
Let's
you're
hear
watching
it.
Secure.
Mm-hmm.
I gave Living Single... Oh, you're not even letting me give my reason. Fine. I'm giving Living Single an 8.5. But I also want to put it on the record that we watched this over holiday for no reason. We didn't have it in our schedule, but I found out, I think we were watching some Queen Latifah interview clip, and she talked about Living Single being the genesis and Friends spawning off on that because the NBC president liked it. So while I do give Living Single 8.5, I also want to put it on the record that I'm giving Friends a 0.
You wish. both of them existed in their own right.
Yeah, they can both exist, and you've continuously proclaimed your love for Friends, and we're still together. So that's growth on me, really. Speaking of growth, whether admirable or not, we are moving into Queen and Slim. We have another patron guest rating.
Oh, Colby again?
It is Colby. Look at you knowing our patrons. I didn't know that was part of the benefits, but that's good to know, OT.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Objectively, this film has some very strong direction that knows how to slickly capture the beauty of black skin. The camera work is stylized as such, and the music sets the mood appropriately. The performances are great for the most part, despite a lot of issues I have with the narrative construction and the screenplay as a whole. Subjectively, I've never been more soul-broken and conflicted after watching a film. I feel this is one of the most socially irresponsible films I've seen in a while. Ooh, there's some fire. And it's painful to vocalize this. However, I have a responsibility to not fully allow my unmet expectations to unfairly color my critical analysis or ignore how this film will and has affected its intended audiences.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're seeing the highs and not so highs of Colby.
What did he give it?
You don't even want to guess?
I'd say a 7.
A 6. If Colby rates your film a 6, then you've got a problem.
I wholly agree with everything he said there.
Uh-huh.
Everything was working for it. Everything. But the execution, and I really did expect more. And to me, I rated it a 7 because that's just where it fell.
Oh, okay.
Without any sort of, at least bias from my end or negative or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to love it. I really did.
Okay. I also rated it a 6 with Colby.
Wow. Who knew I'll be the most generous one here?
Yeah, this year, not last year. Yeah, we're in the cinema. It's, we look back on films that we watched in the cinema. And I also think that Queen and Slim was the last film that we watched in the cinema this year. And it was very confusing because we knew how we felt about Queen and Slim, but everyone was cheering. And I think there were lots of black loves being shouted from the audience as well. So, not to take away from the audience experience, it was I think we felt like Kenya Barris and Black AF. Everyone was praising the movie. But again, with Lena Waithe, we've seen quality. We just don't necessarily agree that it was poured into this cohesively. Okay, the next episode that we had covered the TV series, the HBO series, the Tres Comas series, Silicon Valley, and we have another patron rating, OT.
Oh,
I don't know if you'll be able to guess who this is.
I'd say Julio.
Wow, you deserve a prize, OT.
I do.
Your prize is the end of 2020. But
I'll take it.
But the It's a Wonderful Life prize it may continue in 2021, unfortunately. Okay, so Julio said almost perfect. There was something off in the finale.
I wouldn't even say just the finale. I would say the final season alone just fell a bit short of what we knew Silicon Valley could be. Or at least where the direction we thought it would take. And the finale, man, Jesus fucking Christ.
It's hard to top Dick to Floor ratio because I think for the most part, the way that Rick and Morty fans reference Pickle Rick all the time, I think, Dick to Floor ratio is...
DTF!
Oh my.
Everyone in the office was just shouting that the whole day after that episode aired.
Just to save time.
Yeah.
But Dick to Floor ratio, I think, is the most closely associated reference to Silicon Valley. And it is hard to beat that because that was brilliant. And even the fact that academics got in on it and it's actually accurate.
Oh, you called me an academic.
How dare you? How dare you besmirch proper academics in the world out there? Okay, let me give my rating. Not as generous as Julio.
What did Julio give it?
So Julio rated it a 9.5.
Oh, interesting.
9.5 is very high.
Interesting.
But I'm also not going to fight you, Julio. At least not in this regard. I rated it 8.5.
You snooze, mate, because I gave it a 9.5.
No, you did not.
I did. It was deserved of that. It was a 10 show up until its final legs. And just because it fell a bit short, as any show would with its runtime, it just, it deserved so much more credit for that than me sitting here giving it anything less than a 9 would just have felt wrong.
I'm brave.
Oh, clearly you also something
No,
else.
it's not. I couldn't give it more than an 8.5 because Richard just kept meandering for 2-3 seasons, and you also forgot the whole Jared story arc, which we're not going to spoil.
Off,
yeah, exactly. So the fact that you gave it a 9.5 is a mystery to us all, OT.
I'm just remembering the first 3 seasons.
All right. Well, speaking of first 3, let's move on to one of the most fun episodes that we've had recording, but also watching and anticipating and even listening back to the episode. Yes, motherfuckers, that's what I do. I really loved it. We're talking about the masterpiece trilogy of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker.
Wow. The first Rush Hour was great. I think it got me at a really nice time in my childhood, and I'd give it an 8.
All right. Yeah, I give it an 8 too. And I don't need a nostalgic spiel because if it's great, friends and lovers, it's fucking great.
Rush Hour 2, I went with a 7. Rush Hour 3, I also gave it a 7.
I gave Rush Hour 2 7.5.
Okay.
And then Rush Hour 3 7.
Cool. So pretty much the same, across the board.
Nice. To round off March, we covered Lindelof of all of the Lost Islands, The Hunt. Do you even remember we watched that?
It feels like ages ago, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it was one of the first video on demands that we watched, when studios was trying to decide whether they were going to release.
Straight to Amazon, I think it was.
Yeah, because we watched Invisible Man and we watched The Hunt. And for some reason, we recorded The Hunt before Invisible Man. And then because of life and 2020, I think our memories became invisible and we forgot to record Invisible Man.
Yeah. The Hunt. I give The Hunt a 7.
Yeah, me too.
It had some fun aspects in there, but nothing really to write home about. I know people really had problems with it. That's not for us to say.
The movie is the movie. I understand why they chose to change the release schedule of it. But I try not to do this, but just watching interviews with Lindelof and him kind of backing down from a very specific and very purposeful messaging.
Stand by your work, mate.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, just fucking stand by it. It's out there.
Yeah, and I don't think it was even that powerful of a message, but then we're not American, so we don't have that context where it is, going to be more specific. But yeah, like I try not to let outside of what the movie or the TV show is, but in that particular case, I did rate it based on interviews I was watching because it's not like you're accidentally stumbling on political messaging.
No.
Yeah. Well, especially with Lindelof, even though it does get wiry. But let's continue. April.
Oh, we started April strong.
Avril. April started off in the most tantalizing, the most splooshiest of ways. We covered La Casa de Papel, all the parts up to part 3 in our first year of podcasting. And in the first episode of April, we covered La Casa de Papel part 4. Also, I don't know if this is going to influence your score, but Netflix recently announced that part 5 will be the final part of the series. But then with Glow, they did have a final series announced and then they cancelled it. So hopefully that doesn't happen to
Money
our
House
pals.
is too big a show for them to do it like that. And man, it took me down to the feels part 4.
So last year, overall, you rated it a 9, just to give context. So how does your rating for part 4 go?
It did not change. It's still a 9.
Okay.
A proud 9.
A proud as a peacock, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first 30 Rock reference, I think.
What did he give it?
I gave it an 8. I gave it a 10 last year.
The feels, though.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil La Casa de Papel because branded by us, we are the official La Casa de Papel podcast. And yeah, I gave it a 10 and I don't want to spoil part 4, but I feel like the momentum didn't really move as much as we wanted it to.
But it did set up for a grand final season if it does happen.
Yeah, but if you're not a 20 episode sort of series, you shouldn't be setting up for 8 episodes.
Nah, it had to happen like that. It's done by it and I loved it. Okay,
settle down.
Proud, mate.
Well, maybe you can be Lagos.
Yeah. Of course, they need a prince in there.
Okay. I'm just going to leave it there. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of that. The next episode that we have was Bend It Like Beckham. It's funny. It's funny going through this and realizing what we covered through the year.
Yeah. Bloody hell, man. It's weird. Bend It Like Beckham is one of those childhood classics that I think everyone in my
childhood classics. How do you do, fellow kids? It's not. You weren't in your childhood when this came out.
Oh, dear Lord. It's one of those that you just, like, pretty much everyone knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone watched it multiple times. And I give it an 8. It's rewatchable throughout, like, my adult life, and I just loved it.
Oh, okay. I'm the one rating things lower this year, it seems.
Yeah, tell me what you got, Scrooge.
Scrooge him?
Yeah, Scrooge McDuck, mate.
I rated it 7.5.
Ooh.
It was okay. It was never going to be a 10. Let's be fair.
No, not 10.
It was never going to be a 10. So that's just where I landed.
It lives in the plateaus of the 8, which is fine.
Well, you live on the plateau of my heart. How about that? You also live on the plateau of my life.
Oh, wow.
You also live on the platform of my life.
Oh, El Hoyo.
El Hoyo. And that rolls into another patron rating, OT.
Oh, I think this is Julio again.
It is Julio. This is so cute. I love that you know who's rating these.
Yeah.
Okay. So Julio's comment, es obvio. It was so much fun and so inventive.
100% agreed. And I think the messaging, mate, El Hoyo will take you to fucking church. And for me, El Hoyo was just a bloody 10.
Wow.
10, son.
Well, Julio, you might need to reconsider. He gave it a 9.
Oh.
I gave it a 9.
Idiotas.
Dickheads. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but the ending bothered me.
The ending does that was the perfect ending to any movie I've seen this year. So for you to be bothered by that, you gotta spit right off.
You got a great ass. Well, I think it should be studied in schools. It should be.
It should be a set book. We used to have this.
Do you think we should have a 4-year reference curriculum and try and sell it to schools?
Oh, for sure. And try and reenact it and go and do plays in schools.
Wow, OT Spear.
Yeah, mate. Got my career trajectory lined up, mate.
Oh, but El Hoyo was amazing. I am Katie Trimagasi. Before we move on, OT, if you haven't watched the platform El Hoyo, we definitely encourage you to go and watch it. But when they are introduced to the Vertical Self-Management Center, I think it's called, they're allowed to bring one possession. What would you bring? It can be like even based on the movie, or just you in general. What would you bring?
Oh, heaps of beef jerky.
Okay.
So I can just eat a jerky a day.
I think there are like limitations.
No, there are no limitations. Literally anything.
Well, you're going to bring a whole cow?
Come on, came with a fucking a suitcase full of money. That did shit all.
So you're going to come with a suitcase full of jerky?
Yeah.
You're going to be that
it's
guy?
It's going to last me the whole bloody year.
All right.
See? What are you going to come with?
The knife, the samurai knife. And then I'll make my own jerky.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We are going to cover the film Alive next year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm not even going to bring levity because that's fucking life. All right, let's move on. Oh, speaking of levity, after El Hoyo, we covered the In-Betweeners.
Oh, football friends.
Football friend. No patron ratings.
Oh, that show is amazing. How many times have we rewatched it?
Too many to count.
Bloody hell. Like, yeah, 10. 10, 10, 10.
Wow.
10, 10, 10, 10.
I gave it a 9.
What?
But to me, 9 is high. For a show like that, a 9 is very high for me.
Say what?
Well, I gave 30 Rock a 10, so it's not better than 30 Rock or the same as 30 Rock.
To me, it's fucking head, hips, lips, limbs, and bounds better than 30 Rock.
That's because you're Simon and I'm Carly.
Oh, bloody hell.
All right, we're now moving into May, OT. And, you know, we're all here to wank each other off and pat ourselves on the back, but it has been a wild fucking year, right? For the most part, we've delivered an episode every week. Even when we missed one, we were still able to roll out the same amount as we would within that particular month. And it's crazy that we got so far into the year, we just kept our head down, trying to focus on recording an episode. And then by the end of it, we realized it was like October. It's crazy. Not to say that, you know, well, maybe I feel like my worth is in whether we can release it or not. But like, we didn't have a hard goal, but I like that we kept to it.
Yeah, me too.
And I appreciated it. So after In-Betweeners, rolling into May, we covered Black AF, which we referenced not so long ago.
Kenya Barris.
A lifelong friend of yours.
Yeah. I gave it an 8.5.
I gave Black AF an 8.
I felt like it was better than 8. It lost its way later in the season.
Well, you said it kind of copied Blackish.
It felt very Blackish in some aspects.
Tonally, it turned into divorce and breaking up.
Yeah, I think when
I don't think that's a spoiler.
When your
either.
Blackish episodes, when you watch Blackish merely for escapism, then they bring the heavy shit. Then I don't know. It just felt weird. But still, I enjoyed it, and 8.5.
Well, he was talking when the title was like because of slavery again.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily light. It was just the tone of it was very, satirized, and there was comedy in there, even in the dark sort of comedy. But then, yeah, it felt like he wanted to put it in, so he put it in. But yeah, so I guess that also reflects our ratings. Or OT, are you ready? Are you ready for the trilogy?
I'm ready.
I say trilogy, but I'm only talking about the first two. The Godfather, The Godfather 2, The Godfather 3.
All right. I love a good Don Corleone.
We all do. And a Vito Corleone.
I gave Godfather a 9.
I gave it a 9 too, but thinking on it, I don't know why I didn't give it a 10. Can you
because when you thought you'd watched an amazing movie in The Godfather, and then you watched The Godfather Part 2, you're like, something that you thought you couldn't get any better, got heads, shoulders, heaps and bounds better than anything I could have imagined. And The Godfather Part 2 is nothing short but a perfect 10.
Wow. Okay. So in the newly formed, completely legitimate For Your Reference curriculum, we will have the foreshadowing oranges of the Godfather trilogy. In this curriculum, we also regard Part 1 and Part 2 as an entity. And in saying that, I rated both of them a 9. I think they both worked well together. What was missing or what was lacking emotional attachment because it was missing in Part 1 was filled in Part 2. Any of the furthering of the universe, come and fight me, motherfuckers. Come and fight me, Vafangus, was met in Part 1. So they're very symbiotic in nature. And again, in our curriculum that will be accredited and recognized nowhere, we regard Part 1 and Part 2 as a singular entity. Part 3 don't necessarily care about. I know Julio does enjoy part 3 of Godfather, but he also knows that he's not going to be able to influence our ratings. So he probably didn't rate
What did he give part 3?
I gave part 3 a 7.
I gave part 3 a 7 as well.
All right. Okay, we're calibrating. You know what's interesting? When we recorded our first Christmas special, you were rating off the cuff. This time you actually prepared your ratings and you came here.
Yeah.
So I think when you have some time to think about it, you're more gracious, it seems.
Probably. If not, I'd probably give it a 2. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's a 7.
Yikes. I do. I was not in the room when you said that. Yikes. We are still in May, friends and lovers. The next episode that we covered, I really feel like describes the breadth, because we covered Black AF, we covered the Godfather trilogy, and then we covered Itaewon Class. If that doesn't give you a snapshot of the breadth of what we watch it for your reference, then come and sit on our Jupiter's cock. Shout out to our Spartacus episode, Rest in Love and Peace and Power, Andy Whitfield. So let's talk about Itaewon Class. It's a South Korean Netflix original series, and it's actually a Netflix original series, not like they slap it on your mama's ass every time.
Based off a webtoon?
Based off a webtoon, aren't we learned?
Just gotta put it out there.
I subscribe to the OT manga. Okay, we loved it. We absolutely love this series.
Has one of the best intro songs ever.
I can fly the sky.
Hey!
Never gonna stay.
Oh! Yeah, it was breathtaking, amazing. I love the characters.
Yeah.
If you want to dabble into Korean drama and you're feeling a bit iffy about it, you're not sure whether you need to take this leap of faith, Itaewon Class will deliver and you will never look back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for that reason, I gave it a 9.
I gave it a 10, motherfucker.
Ooh, I give it a 9 because that was just more of a personal bias where the ending just, like, I felt other people just needed to get some comeuppance that they didn't, but that's fine. I give it a 9 for that.
Hi, friends and lovers. It's Katie from the For Your Reference podcast, possibly the last PSA of 2020. I get that people talk a lot about diversity. We're talking particularly in the realms of entertainment, TV, and also movies. Like, I know people are championing to have not only diversity in front of the screen, but also behind the screens, whether it's writing, whether it's directing. But what I would say on that, you know, when like people are going through a diet and they start to write down in their diaries of everything they're eating in the day and they can evaluate it, I would implore all of you friends and lovers, and in some cases motherfuckers, to write down, or actually in some cases just be conscious of what you're watching. Because if you keep saying you want to see more female directors, if you're so happy that Parasite won Best Picture and you're watching really generic stuff all weekend long, I'm not necessarily saying you're the problem, but that's also a reason why industries continue to churn out the same Fox and NBC sort of shows. So, like I said in our Splooshies Awards, watch some more foreign shit and we can cover more foreign shit, right? And Itaewon definitely deserves it. You know, I don't watch a lot of South Korean movies and TV. Well, fuck that. Go and watch it. I don't, like, even with Attack on Titan, I don't watch anime. Fucking watch it. Like, just watch it. It doesn't, I don't know, animations can't be perfect films for adults. Well, fuck off. Fucking watch it. You know what I mean? I'm getting sick of people saying that things can't be things.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. You know, there are shows that just transcend. They transcend the little containers that they're meant to be in.
Yeah.
That the society has put it in. And Itaewon does a really good job at breaking the boundaries.
Absolutely.
we get to see Kim Tony.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is that Katie had started watching this before I saw Kim Tony, and I was like, what the fuck?
In a K-drama?
Rewind that shit. Well, not rewind, but start over. We need to get started with this together because I've never seen a black guy in a K-drama, and that was just mind-blowing for me. Yeah. And I loved it. And he wasn't just a placeholder. He wasn't just a talking guy. He disappeared later on, but that was more...
They covered like prejudices against other races, particularly black people in Korea.
Yeah.
They also tackled transphobia as well. Itaewon is a great...
man.
Yeah, and Park Seo-jin, yes, please. Like I said, I follow him, but only through the podcast account. Therefore, it is professional. So if I keep liking his pictures, mind your business. But it's a great show. I don't know. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it, but don't give me your excuses because it is a great show. Yes, it's from South Korea and it can be regarded as a K-drama, but it explores so many themes, and that's why it's a fucking 10.
Fair enough.
You better watch out, OT. I've got lots of 10s coming up. Mm-hmm. Don't you worry. Mm-hmm. But I can give you a spoiler. It's not going to be for the next episode. As we learnt, OT is the real McCoy. And the next episode that we covered was Baby Boy.
I think Singleton was just subliminally talking to us in this movie. And I resonated with every bloody secret message in there.
You don't need to tell people that we have embryo sex play.
Oh, Baby Boy. I gave it an 8.5.
I gave it a 7.5.
What?
It kept highlighting a baby man, and I didn't need to see. It changed how I felt about Tyrese. It changed a lot. Taraji P. Henson, her role was amazing in this film. I do love that we covered John Singleton twice.
Woo!
May he love and rest in peace and power. But yeah, no, 7.5 for me. And, we've got an episode on it, so you can definitely go back and have a listen.
Mm-hmm.
At the start of June, we participated in #podcast blackout. So we didn't have an episode for that, but I just wanted to highlight that on our Christmas special as well. Well, I put the emotion there, and now it's getting sucked up by the first episode that we had of June, and it was Whiplash.
Whiplash. Woohoo. J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. And like I said, I feel like everyone's kink is J.K. Simmons shouting at them. Yeah. Bloody hands are optional, but J.K. Simmons shouting at you is a kink. Maybe I'm just speaking on behalf of myself, but I'm also speaking on behalf of another patron rating, OT.
Oh, we have a rating.
We need like a bum, 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 like a little sound effect going on.
Little hot man.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to guess out of our patrons?
Oh, I think Ben.
Not Ben.
Paul?
Paul. Paul. Okay, so let me read it and you can guess what the rating from Paul was on Whiplash. I was clearly not in the right frame of mind my first watch, but I adored Whiplash on my second viewing. J.K. Simmons' presence on screen is phenomenal. His tight black top and shaved head is a look of menacing power, or sexual sploosh, as I would like to say. It was very much at my tempo. What do you think our beloved Paul rated it?
I think Paul gave it a 9.
A fucking 10.
Paul, you cannot give something a 10 if you didn't appreciate it the first time and we have to go back to it.
Ooh, controversial, friends and lovers.
I feel like if you get one chance, mate.
But don't you believe...
You get one shot at the king. You best not miss. If you miss at your first attempt and have to come at you for me to fully appreciate you, I'm not giving you a 10, mate.
That was a wire reference.
Paul. No. That being said, I gave Whiplash an 8.
That's an interesting theme that you gave. So you're saying if you watch something from the start and it's not a 10, then it can never be a 10.
It can't be a 10 in my mind. No.
Spicy,
No.
muy caliente. Wow.
Everything needs to gel for me in the first watch for it to fully sync, for it to be a perfect movie. If there's something missing and there's something I don't connect with and I have to come back for me to get it, you've not done your job. And it can't be a 10. And scene. See? That's how you do it.
How come you don't want me, man? I was feeling some Fresh Prince. I was feeling some Fresh Prince vibes. That is interesting. Paul, you've been called out.
What did you give it?
YouTubers are boxing now, so maybe you and OT can box each other.
I'll be the Jonesy's guy. What was his name? The one that
Nate
was
Robinson. Wow.
Something special, yeah. All right.
It's something. Okay, I've danced around it too long. I gave Whiplash a 5.
What?
I didn't like it. I didn't. What? Why is that a surprise to you? You
Mate,
listen.
3 points more than Jesus Rolls?
3 more points than Jesus Rolls, correct.
Wow.
You were there when we recorded the episode. You were also there when you edited the episode. So this should not be a surprise.
For some
to you,
reason, I
Mara.
didn't take it as if you had qualms,
I had
but
all the
not
qualms.
that enough qualms to make it into a 5 rating. Wow. Okay.
It was a 5 rating. Miles. Oh, his name's not Miles Teller.
Miles Teller?
But Miles Teller's character. Sorry, I know it's not Miles Teller, but the character. He was a fucking incel. He had delusions of grandeur. He was never going to be, like the brothers said, art is subjective. Like he was never going to be that savant. J.K. Simmons, as much as I love him, I'm sure I can get off sexually in his role in Oz as Schillinger. So I don't really need Whiplash. Yeah, just a 5. Just a 5. I don't want to see it again. I'm never going to see it again. Again, if you're good at playing the drums, are you supposed to bleed? Like,
Again, I explained that scene to you in the episode. If you're keen to get stuck on that, and if that's the reason why it's on a 5, maybe even boost it up a point then. Give it a 6.
how dare you?
Massage it up a bit.
Oh, okay. You said massage, so you've got my attention now. No, it's a 5. Let's continue. Let's continue on to the redemption arc of Katie. We are covering season 4 of Insecure.
Oh.
So let me remind you, last year you rated the first 3 seasons of Insecure a 9, and last year I rated it 8. So you rated My Lady Love, Issa Rae's creation, you rated it higher than I did. So how did you feel just season 4? What did you rate season 4?
It all had to be for a reason. The first 3 seasons, and that's how you write. You're building up to something greater. And season 4 did that abound.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think of a better... A show that in season 4 should not be getting fucking better.
Huh?
Based on history...
Based on history.
Season 4 of any show is not that great.
This is also part of our curriculum.
I've watched a lot of shit, and I know by season 4 of anything, I'm just...
It like knows those.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm just trading in water at that point.
You're just holding on for the characters that you've grown to love, not necessarily enjoying it.
But Issa fucking elevated it. We're just talking about Silicon Valley.
Lifted.
We're talking about Silicon Valley in its 3rd season, and its 4th season it was struggling as.
Mm-hmm.
But Issa had a vision.
Yeah.
And that vision gave it a 10. Woo!
Whoa!
Woo!
Ooh.
10, 10, 10. 10 for Insecure.
Ooh, Christmas OT is my favorite collectible. Wow.
What did you give Insecure?
I also gave it a 10. Oh, well, I'm lucky we can find our solace in My Lady Love, Issa Rae.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing on halfway through the year in June, we had the FX, series,
Mm-hmm.
Snowfall.
Oh.
Snowfall.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You're Idris guy, eh?
Damns and Idris, if you're nasty.
Wow. I love Snowfall. I had qualms with its final season. Not final season, but its latest season.
No, the finale episode.
Yeah, the finale. Okay, little linkumps. I'll give it a 9.
I gave it a 9 as well.
It could probably be a 10 if it didn't piss me the hell off in the final episode.
Yeah, but I also didn't like Teddy.
He's part of the case.
But then, like, they forcefully made us feel sorry for him without spoilers. But that's why Snowfall is getting a 9 for me. I don't subscribe to OT's very negative view of once it starts that way, it just all goes downhill. So I am looking for onwards and upwards with Snowfall. But yeah, Snowfall, I guess, wherever we can, obviously, a lot of the things that we cover, we do love. So we would want you guys to tune in and watch it so you can gaggle fully on our episodes. But if I could only urge you for a handful, obviously we talked about Itaewon Class, but Snowfall is definitely quality. It's right on the cusp at the beginning of the crack cocaine era in California. So it's very
why
specific.
Why are people sleeping on it, mate? This is a great show.
It's a great show.
It's a great show.
So again, we hope to continue. It was nice that they had paying homage to John Singleton. I think it was in season 3 as well. A budding John Singleton in the hood trying to capture memories that no one wants memories of. Oh, but Snowfall, definitely. And Leon, a true 2IC if ever I have ever
mate,
IC.
yeah, character development afoot, mate.
Afoot, absolutely. OT. We love our podcast, and I guess people can poo-poo the genre of our podcast, but I do feel like, aside from being something that we enjoy, I do feel like we are having important conversations.
We are. We do.
And we closed out Pride Month in June with the Kenyan film from Wanuri, Rafiki.
Yes, we did. We did indeed.
Is the accountant OT in the building? Have you got your taxes?
I've got my taxes. And I gave Rafiki, in as much as I wanted to give it, who am I kidding? I gave it a 10. I can't even pretend. It's a 10 movie. Rafiki is amazing. Go and watch it. It's on Amazon.
You deserve an Oscar, sir. I did not expect you to even try and feign that it wasn't going to be a 10 in your eyes.
Oh.
That's a high premium tax you've got there.
Not that premium. What did you give it? Let's hear it.
I also want to preface it with the fact that I have watched Rafiki before we covered it on the podcast, so I've watched it 2 times now. The first time I watched it, I think I was not necessarily unfair in my opinion of it, but I guess I also needed to be more conscious of the fact that, homosexuality, being queer in any way is still illegal in Kenya. So, the hesitancy that I felt the first time I watched it, like, obviously I wasn't going to get something that I saw in Western sort of cinema, and I shouldn't have felt umbrage against that because I needed to be more conscious of the fact that it is actually still illegal. So I have grown as a person.
All right. Show me how that growth relates to the rating.
Well, I can show you that growth, but it will be after this podcast. We are revealing all our kinks today, my love. I gave Rafiki a 9.
Oh, I did not see that coming.
You weren't expecting it?
No, that is good. Rafiki is a good movie. It's not that we're giving it extra bonuses and premiums and taxes that it doesn't deserve. It's fully deserved. It stands by its own right. Its storyline, the way it's shot, the intensity, the actors. I could go on about Rafiki, but this is not the Rafiki podcast.
It can be. It sometimes is. I'm glad. It was the first Kenyan film or TV show that we covered on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
And it was also a queer film. And if you're interested as well, we also covered A Single Man for the first Pride Month of our podcast.
And I think using our little platform to highlight the work that goes into African productions.
Love it.
To
Love
the
to
world.
See it. Mm-hmm.
You know, it made me feel happy. It made me feel proud covering it as a Kenyan. And I just love it.
It was the first Kenyan film to be aired in Cannes.
And we had friends who went out of their way to actually watch it, which was fun, which was really good. Otherwise, it would never have gone to the radar. So,
Yes, that is an absolute shout out to our beloved Seth from the Thanks for Coming podcast, and also Jamal from the Thanks for Coming podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you love RuPaul's Drag Race, you should definitely listen to their podcast.
Uh-huh. All right, Katie.
You want to go on? You want to continue?
Mm-hmm.
You ready for some more?
Ready for some more.
You might regret it after I tell you. We are now in July, OT, and we covered Avatar.
Oh, man. I loved Avatar.
I think everyone did. I think because of the sheer advancement in technology that it introduced, with the legitimate 3D experience that you could have with Avatar, there was a lot of due respect for it. However, watching it now was a completely different experience for me.
I think this is one of those movies where rewatching it multiple times actually didn't do it as much favor as I thought it would. If you'd asked me after watching it the first time, it would have been a 10, but I gave it an 8.
Okay.
Which isn't bad. I'd still probably rewatch it in a few years.
Well, Avatar 2 is scheduled to come out, if schedules mean anything anymore. So we're definitely or maybe going to cover it.
Definitely.
I guess the example that I will give, this is another KT story time. You know, when you first start watching films, you follow where popular things are, and you mostly agree with what popular things are, and then you start to get a feel of what your niche. Some American friends and lovers, we've done multiple polls on the word niche, and some Americans will not claim that they say it. So they say it's only some parts of America that say niche and not niche. But in any case, when you start watching films, when you start watching TV shows, you usually start with what's popular and then you move on. And, you know, for a long time, like, I thought Pulp Fiction was my whole personality.
I remember those days. Bloody hell.
All right, settle down. It's not part of the For Your Reference.
I suffered through it. I can raise it to you.
It's not part of the For Your Reference curriculum. How dare you? But what I will say in regards to that is, by default, everyone loved Avatar. I know there's a lot of undue, I would definitely say, hate against Avatar. I didn't like it. I had qualms with it, but I want to make it clear that I'm not in the same camp that those people are in.
Oh, you're just in a different camp that hates on it.
It's from an artsy point of view. And it's also because James Cameron also mentioned that he took ancient Polynesian words and then he went to create the language. But then to the public, he was saying that they wanted to create a language that didn't sound like anything. And, you know...
Mate, you left it from another language. On
some days, I can ignore the colonialism effects that my life has. But then on some days, I want to go on an Archer-esque rampage. Like, how the fuck are you going to say that you didn't want it to sound like anything, but you actually have scribbled notes on a fucking napkin or whatever, saying that you've got these words from ancient Polynesian languages. But anyway, credit to James Cameron, because some of the people in the Star Wars, not the Baby Yodas before then, they completely took like cultures of Mongolia. Natalie Portman, for example, if you look at her headdress, and they didn't even credit that at all. So I guess shout out to James Cameron for at least giving us the breadcrumb that he did get some sort of inspiration. I rated Avatar a 7.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't think I was too harsh on the rating. I definitely could have given it lower, for my ancestors, for the culture. But yeah. So if you're all caught up, particularly in our December episodes, we did talk about how to the pod gods, one of our recordings was sacrificed, and that was to the film Ghost. We tried recording that for our 69th episode, If You're Nasty. We also tried recording Basic Instinct. We did do a Reference Plus, which is a Patreon exclusive show talking about it. So I guess there's more details there if you're interested. But it just felt like sweaty men fantasizing about a pretty little blonde. And that's essentially a scene that was in Basic Instinct, and I didn't care for it. So because we couldn't really settle, but then again, we're very sexual in nature, OT. Did you know that? Is that an announcement to you?
Yeah, that's news to me, mate.
Do we need to add that as part of our FYR curriculum?
Yeah.
Well, because of that, we did have a early release, a very early release to our patrons of Uncut Gems.
Mm-hmm.
We had recorded this a long time ago, and we decided to release it in July of this year. So that's a lot to say. I feel like we feel safe in sharing how we really feel on our Patreon. So that's probably why we've held on to this recording for so long. But we let our qualms fly.
We sure did. And I think, man, I had so many qualms with this movie, and I can't even remember. I can't remember why it just grinded every sort of gear in me.
Is it because Adam Sandler is known for being a comedic guy, or that didn't bother you?
That didn't bother me. I think it was just to do with the fact that I felt like I needed to pay 110% attention to it. Otherwise, I'd miss something. Everything was moving so fast. Everything was shouty. Everyone was just, it was just fucking chaotic.
I was trying to provide that experience while you were talking, but I felt like a dickhead, so I stopped.
And for that reason, I give it a 6.
Oh, okay.
What did you rate it, Katie?
I gave Uncut Gems a 5.
Yeah, I don't know why I gave it a fucking 6. It could have been a 0 for all I care.
Wow.
But it was just next level mind-numbing shit, man. Jesus Christ. I get artistry, but if artistry has to be fucking one career at the same time, then count me out. I just did not ride with this.
Yeah, because a lot of ratings from our fellow friends and lovers and also critics on Jackie Chan's Rotten Tomatoes, like, they were talking about how it was so chaotic and it was so anxiety inducing. And I was like, yeah, it was, but is that it? Like, is that enough to make a film? Well, you can fuck right off. Like, I will go and watch Itaewon. I will go and watch Snowfall. Why the fuck would I watch this? Anyway, again, like all of these, we do have a whole episode on it. So you can go and get our, more detailed reasons on why we didn't like this film. But it felt good. It felt good to rage against the Adam Sandler.
Yeah, and against the machine.
Our terrible tribute band. Our pseudo tribute band on Rise Against the Machine.
And that's it for part 1, folks. Tune in tomorrow for part 2.
What? On Twitter and Instagram, we're at ForYourFPod.
Write us an email at hello@forpodcast.com.
And if you're into the apples and the ratings and reviews, we would appreciate that too.
See ya.
Yuletide cheer.